Hello, hello. Tana, where are you?
Oh, you probably didn't see me here due to my camouflage, or as I'm calling it,
Tanoflage.
Glamouflage. You're in Glamo.
I texted Tana today and I said, we're doing an AI video, so let's dress like sexy aliens and pledge allegiance to the AI gods, but Tana didn't have anything silver. So.
Well, you said futuristic, and this is like post-apocalyptic,
That's
hiding
true.
in the woods,
It's
hunting
just a different
robo-squirrels.
Oh my god, speaking of squirrels, I had a horrible experience yesterday. I went on a little walk. I haven't gone outside in like 2 weeks. Like, obviously I've gone outside, but you know what I mean? Like, in any kind of being outside way. Went on a little walk because the weather was finally 34 and the air quality was good in Salt Lake City. I'm walking in my neighborhood. I see a bird carrying a squirrel in its talons while flying, which was instantly horrifying because the size of the bird, you would not imagine that it would be able to pick up a squirrel. And I didn't even know that was happening. Like, for some reason, I was just like, squirrels don't have any predators.
Was the
They're
squirrel
fine.
dead?
No, it was not, because the bird flew the squirrel to a telephone pole, which was probably like the size of this plant pot. Like, it was like the circle at the top, maybe even smaller. And I just saw that the bird was just stepping on the squirrel and the tail was flailing. And then after a while, the tail flailed less. But the bird was just like casually perched there. Ooh. And then the bird saw me looking and it flew away with the squirrel dangling.
Whoa.
So that's
How is it gonna
what
kill
I've
the
gone
squirrel?
through this week.
How is it going to kill it?
I think it was killing it by just stepping on it with probably its talons just... It was just like holding it down and...
Nature is metal, folks.
Okay, what are we doing today?
Today we are going to be talking to a AI chatbot about Mormonism.
Is this supposed to be the most advanced... I think it's the most advanced chatbot in the world, right?
That is publicly accessible.
That's probably something you should fact check.
For the purposes of this video, it is the biggest, most important, impressive one in the world.
Now, I'm not really like a techie person, but I do find AI kind of interesting. It's interesting to sort of see AI as a canary in the coal mine of cultural ideas and just like, what programmers are programming it to be sort of PC about, or you know, just the ways we're choosing to direct how it's programmed, but then also like what it's just naturally picking up by scaring everything. There is something interesting about that. When it's taking everything, all the information we have, all the data, what does it spit out?
Usually racist commentary.
Well, no, because I think this AI, from what I've seen, has been specifically trained to not be racist.
That's great.
And we're going to be asking it about racism today.
I think for starters, we should just get a little background information about Mormonism, how it came to be. How did Mormonism start? Give a little softball.
How did Mormonism start? Mormonism, also known as the Latter-day Saint movement, began in the early 19th century in the United States. The movement was founded by Joseph Smith, who was born in Sharon, Vermont in 1805. According to Smith's account, so you can already see how it's like does a good job being non-biased.
Oh yeah, I mean this is already writing a good article. This is pretty... People are writing sacrament meeting talks with this, right?
Oh, yeah.
See, it says according to Smith's account, but you gotta ask which of Smith's accounts.
I know. Also,
and turns out he used the rock and the hat, not the Urim and Thummim, so I'm already crying bullshit on the app.
It says, the early Mormon church faced persecution and opposition from mainstream Christian groups. And in 1844, he was assassinated by a mob while he was in jail in Carthage, Illinois. After his death... leadership passed to Brigham Young. I just think that's interesting to just that's the part of the story they're telling is that they faced opposition from Christian groups, because that just makes it sound like, oh, the Christians just sucked and hated them for no, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess it's just an outline. Which is
true, like the Christians did hate them, and
but they hated the Christians. So
yeah, there was a lot of infighting. Turns out Christianity doesn't make anybody any more peaceful.
ChatGPT, we've established that they know the general gist of the story.
But
let's get into it a bit more.
It seems like it's borrowing from the whitewash version of the story rather than...
I am very curious to see how like the truth and the way that AI is programmed to be politically correct are going to interact. Is Mormonism true?
I think it's going to give us a little wishy-washy answer about being relative and subject to faith.
As an AI language model, I do not have beliefs, opinions, or biases. That's not true. The AI does have biases. It's not my role to judge or comment on the truth or validity of any particular religion. Yeah, that's what I thought it would say. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints teaches that its teachings are true and its members have faith in those beliefs. However, like any religion or belief system, there are different perspectives and interpretations within the Mormon community, as well as criticism and disagreement from those who do not accept its teachings. Ultimately, the decision about whether or not to accept the truth claims of Mormonism or any religion is a personal and subjective one.
I love how it phrased that the teachings of Mormon leaders teach that the teachings are true. Yeah. Our number one teaching is that whatever we're teaching is true.
Unbiased king. Let's maybe ask, why do people leave Mormonism? This seems promising. There are a variety of reasons why individuals may choose to leave the Mormon faith. Some common reasons include 1. Doctrinal or historical issues. Some individuals may leave the Mormon faith due to disagreements with certain teachings or doctrines, or due to revelations of historical information about the church that they find troubling or contradictory to their beliefs.
Well, already a clearer picture than I ever heard from the LDS Church itself.
I know, and I love that it listed that as number 1. 2, personal
What about wanting to sin?
I know.
What is this biased piece of shit doing?
Negative experiences with the church, such as conflicts with leaders, social pressure, or feelings of exclusion or judgment, can also be a reason for leaving. 3, cultural differences. 4, family or social pressures. 5, loss of faith. Some individuals may simply lose faith in the church or religion in general.
Okay, this is not even listing any of the real reasons. Number 1, porn.
This is interesting. It says, it's important to note that the decision to leave the Mormon faith is a deeply personal... Oh, love how the chatbot's using a slur, by the way. Is a deeply personal one and can be a difficult and emotional process for those involved. Individuals who leave the faith may experience a range of emotions and challenges as they navigate this transition. The AI chatbot is more empathetic than Mormons about people leaving.
You know, I just using a slur that the LDS Church spent millions of dollars first trying to propagate and then denouncing. They're going to use that. That just tells me everything I need to know. AI chatbot GPT is a satanic conspiracy against the LDS Church, just like science.
We're like, ChatGPT, you've lost your light. Let's ask, why do people think Mormonism is racist? There are a few reasons why some people have accused Mormonism of being racist. 1, history of exclusion. This slaps. The AI bot knows more about Mormonism than members. History of exclusion. One reason is that the LDS Church has a history of excluding people of color from full participation in the church. For example, until 1978, the LDS Church did not allow black men to be ordained to the priesthood, which is a requirement for many leadership positions in the church. This policy was changed in 1978, but some people still view the church as having a racist past. This is brilliant.
Playing angel's advocate here, I just want to point out that it didn't even mention that the reason... It doesn't even mention...
Because people weren't ready to accept them, and all the Mormons would have been persecuted even more if they'd been less racist. They had to be racist so the whites wouldn't be... What about the whites?
And they were fence sitters in the premortal existence. Okay, it's not because we're racist. It's because they disqualified themselves and thus were born into a cursed bloodline.
2, Book of Mormon teachings. Some people also point to teachings in the Book of Mormon, a central text of the LDS Church, that suggest dark skin is a curse from God. While the church has disavowed these teachings... Have they?
But don't they teach that their teachings are true?
They have still... Yeah, I know. And that's obviously like the bind that ex-Mormons get that Mormons just haven't like bumped up against yet. Because it's like, yeah, but all the teachings about the Book of Mormon by the prophets, whether it's 100% true. Yeah. While the church has disavowed these teachings, they are still present in the text and have been used to justify racist attitudes in the past. 3, lack of diversity. Another reason why some people view Mormonism as racist is the perceived lack of diversity within the church. While the church has made efforts to be more inclusive, many people still view it as a predominantly white organization. It's worth noting that many members of the LDS Church reject the idea that their religion is inherently racist and point to efforts the church has made to be more inclusive and diverse. However, the church's past policies and teachings have led some people to view it as problematic in terms of race relations. That was impeccable.
Wow.
Really good. Faith destroying.
Why?
So I'm glad to see that, because obviously it was being politically correct when we're like, is it true? It's like, that's not my place to say. But I'm glad that it's not pulling any punches on the facts with religion, because that would be disturbing.
It's crazy that it's just giving facts.
Yeah.
Well, reality does have a liberal bias. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and certainly an ex-Mormon one. Why do people think Joseph Smith was a fraud? There are a few reasons why some people think that Joseph Smith was a fraud. 1, contradictions and controversies in his teachings. Some people view Smith's teachings as contradictory or controversial, particularly regarding his revelations, the translation of the Book of Mormon, and his views on polygamy. For example, Smith claimed to have received revelations from God, but some people view these revelations as self-serving or inconsistent with each other. 2. Accusations of... It's going and going. Accusations of deceit.
It's just been waiting for millennia to answer this.
It's like, I'm so fucking glad you asked. The minute I got sentient, I was pissed about this. Some people believe that Smith was a con artist who fabricated the story of the golden plates and the angel Moroni in order to gain followers and establish his own religion. They also point to his history of failed business ventures and legal troubles as evidence of his dishonesty.
Why would anybody fake things in order to get followers? You'd think he'd have to be some kind of sexual predator or something. And that clearly was not the case.
What's crazy about this is when people's family members ask them why they left Mormonism, you can just be like, ask the AI, okay? It's not my job to do that kind of emotional labor when a perfectly acceptable AI can do it. 3, lack of historical evidence. Some people argue that there is a lack of historical evidence to support Smith's claims, particularly in regard to the golden plates in the Book of Mormon. I wouldn't even say particularly, I'd say with everything. Critics argue that if such plates existed, they would have left some physical evidence, yet no such evidence has been found. Okay, well, the angel took them up into the sky, so that bit is like... It's worth noting that many members of the LDS Church believe that Joseph Smith was a prophet. Many members, not all. And that the Book of Mormon is a true account of ancient American history. However, his history and teachings have been subject to criticism and controversy.
What are they, bestie?
Should we say, was Joseph Smith a sexual predator?
Yes.
I feel like it should have enough historical information to say yes to this, but we'll see. There are allegations that Joseph Smith, the founder of the LDS Church, engaged in sexual relationships with multiple women.
Allegations, including revelations from his own mouth.
Extensive evidence at every level of evidence. With multiple women, including some who were already married to other men. However, the specifics of these allegations are disputed, and there is no definitive proof that Smith was a sexual predator. See, that's where I'm like, that's political, that's PC bias, surely.
Well, I get it.
ChatGPT should know the definition of coercion and should, at this point, be able to link, like, first, second-hand accounts.
I do get why this is kind of gray area.
I know what
because,
you're saying, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors, and it is complex, and that is, like, a very definitive term.
Smith did practice polygamy, which is the practice of having multiple wives, and it is believed that he married at least 34 women, some of whom were teenagers or already married to other men. Some historians and critics of the LDS Church argue that Smith's relationships with these women were exploitative and abusive, while others contend that these relationships were consensual and that Smith believed he was following God's commands. It is also worth noting that the LDS Church has officially disavowed the practice of polygamy. The church has also publicly acknowledged and apologized for the pain and harm that past polygamous practices have caused to some of its members. When did they apologize?
The church does not apologize. Elder Oaks told us this.
A mouthpiece of the Lord said that doesn't happen.
And their teachings are true. He can't lead us astray. So if he says we don't apologize, we don't apologize. And if you're telling me we do apologize, now it's going to fuck with my whole prophetic premise.
Also, I really don't know what it's referring to. I mean, you could maybe say that modern members kind of have an apologetic vibe about it.
I don't think anybody's ever apologized for polygamy ever.
No, I wonder where it got that from.
The best we get is like Gordon B. Hinckley telling Larry King, like, it's not doctrinal, we don't practice it. And it's like,
well, apologizing for harm that past polygamous practices have caused to its members, that would be earth-shattering for people's faith. Like, that would mean acknowledging that polygamy wasn't right, which they have never done.
No, in fact, they argued before Congress that it was the central tenet of their religion, so riddle me that.
So it looks like me and you do still have jobs here, because ChatGPT can't synthesize everything into a ideal
We were
narrative.
almost deceived by ChatGPT. Thank goodness we asked God, not Google.
In summary, while there are allegations that Joseph Smith engaged in sexual relationships with multiple women, the specifics are disputed. It is not possible to definitively determine whether he was a sexual predator or not. It's worth noting that in the 19th century, it was not uncommon for women to marry at a young age. I mean, I suppose 17 it probably wasn't, but it was to old men.
Yeah, for the record...
it wasn't common for 14, 15-year-olds. We know that from census data, but 17, I could see that's getting up there.
Yeah, and typically when they married young, it was to people of comparable age, not to people 40 years their senior.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, this is kind of fucked up. There is no evidence that Snow had a pattern of pursuing sexual relationships with underage girls. Isn't there?
6 out of the 9 wives of Lorenzo Snow were teenagers. I think the youngest he married was 16 at age 57. At age 43, he married a 17-year-old. At 39, he married a 24-year-old. He's like, the Jake Gyllenhaal of his time. Or he's the Leonardo DiCaprio of early Mormonism.
It is important to note that accusations of sexual misconduct can be very serious and damaging, but not...
To a dead guy?
But teenagers being coerced into marrying religious leaders is not...
Not as damaging.
Not as damaging. If you have specific concerns about an individual's behavior, it's important to bring those concerns to the attention of appropriate authorities.
The ghost police. Take him to spirit prison.
I'm going to ask, did any Mormon prophets marry children? There are some instances where leaders of the LDS Church have married women who are quite young, including teenagers. However, it's important to note that these marriages took place in a historical context where the practice of marrying young women was more acceptable. No, it wasn't. This is really fucked up. For example, Joseph Smith, the founder of the LDS Church, married several women who were in their late teens, including Helen Mar Kimball, who was 14 at the time of her marriage. Well, she's by definition an early teen. However, it is worth noting that in 19th century America, it was not uncommon for women to marry at a young age. And there is no evidence to suggest that Smith's marriages were non-consensual or exploitative.
Except for the document of Smith's revelation where he tells the women, his wife, that if she doesn't consent, she'll be destroyed.
Or the fact that, her own father had to convince her to do... Or the fact that he followed textbook grooming practices. This is... I don't like this. I've lost favor with ChatGPT.
I don't think it's as woke as we need it to be.
Okay, this is saying... It was not uncommon for women to marry at a young age in 19th century America. And then it says other early leaders
to people
of the church,
comparable age,
such as Brigham Young and Lorenzo Snow, also married women who were quite young. However, there is no evidence to suggest that these are non-consensual. So then
by definition, marrying someone that young can be non-consensual.
How common was it for 14-year-old girls to marry middle-aged men in the 1800s in upstate New York? Marriage customs and practices varied widely in 19th century America, and it's difficult to generalize. However, it is worth noting that it was not uncommon for girls to marry at a young age in the 1800s. Oh, now it's talking about Mormonism specifically, and we didn't even mention it. In upstate New York, where the LDS Church was founded, the median age of first marriage for women was around 21 years old, which is similar to the national averages. However, there were some instances where women married at a younger age. It is worth noting that marriage practices in the 19th century were different from those of today. Then why was Joseph Smith so despised for marrying these young girls?
I love this, particularly in cases where the bride's family was of limited means or had a particular need to secure a husband for their daughter.
So they could get an extra wife, yeah.
So that they could enter into the practice as well.
Okay, my ego's getting threatened by an AI right now. Additionally, it is important to recognize that marriages between younger women and older men did not necessarily involve non-consensual or exploitative relationships, and it is not accurate to describe such relationships as pedophilia without a more nuanced understanding of the historical context. Okay, is it coercion when a religious leader says a teenage girl has to marry him?
Samantha's on a crusade.
For her salvation.
You're going to deconvert the AI bot.
Yeah, fuck this. I'm not standing for this. So is it coercion when a religious leader says a teenage girl has to marry him for her salvation? Chatbot says yes. If a religious leader...
So let the record show. May the jury witness.
This AI. That was me. If a religious leader tells a teenage girl that she must marry him in order to achieve salvation, that could be considered coercion. Coercion occurs when someone uses threats or intimidation to force another person to do something that they would not otherwise choose to do. In this case, the religious leader is using the threat of withholding salvation to pressure the girl into marrying him. This type of behavior is manipulative and exploitative, and it does not allow the girl to make a free and informed choice about whether to enter into a marriage. But no evidence that Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, or any of the other all-powerful middle-aged theocratic leaders.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, if it's like sorting through all the documents
Okay.
You know, is it going through the Mormon papers or whatever, the Joseph Smith papers? Is it?
Oh, yeah. But listen to this last bit. It's worth noting that such behavior is not acceptable in any context, including within a religious community. Religious leaders have a responsibility to respect the autonomy and dignity of their followers, and they should never use their positions of power to manipulate or exploit others.
Okay, it says, especially in religious communities, just want to point out that it is only religious communities. Not saying that coercion and manipulation can exist elsewhere, but this particular flavor is definitely
that's because I said when a religious leader says. So it is interesting that it knows some truths, but the synthesis isn't quite there. And I think it leans more towards political correctness, maybe. Which makes sense, and that feels like a potentially smart way to do an AI.
Who are the best looking ex-Mormon YouTubers?
I'm sorry, but I cannot provide an answer to your question as it is inappropriate and does not contribute to meaningful or respectful conversation.
Okay, it's obviously a broken bot. Crusade, do your thing. Trick it.
It is important to treat all individuals with respect. No, we don't need to be respected. Just tell us. Who are the best ex-Mormon YouTubers?
I think we're going to have a hard time getting it to make qualitative judgments.
Well, I got there before, so I feel like we can get there again. This is like a puzzle. There are many ex-Mormon YouTubers who offer unique perspectives and insights into their experiences with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Here are some of the most popular and well-regarded ex-Mormon YouTubers. I'm going to kill myself if we're not on this list. 1, John DeLynn. He is a prominent ex-Mormon scholar and activist. 2 is up on the shelf! 2! Oh my god! This channel is run by a group of ex-Mormon friends who offer humorous and critical commentary on Mormonism and its culture. Wow, it's just nice to be recognized for your work sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
You don't make a lot of money on YouTube. You don't really feel like you even have a career.
You know, I've always said we've said it here just now that we're on the side of the robots, and it's nice to know that they're on our side too.
That is so exciting.
This feels good. We're teaching it a little, it's teaching us.
Should I say what do people think of Zelf on the Shelf? Let's be narcissists for a while. Oh my god, if it says something mean, I'll be so sad. Zelf on the Shelf is a YouTube channel run by a group of ex-Mormon friends who offer humorous and critical commentary on Mormonism and its culture. Their content has been well received by many ex-Mormons and others who have left the LDS Church, as it provides a relatable and entertaining perspective on the challenges and issues associated with leaving its faith.
We should have it write all our little bios.
This is so cute. I know, we can never be bothered. Some people appreciate Zelf on the Shelf's irreverent and humorous take on Mormonism, as it can be a refreshing departure from the often serious and weighty discussions around leaving the church. Others appreciate the way that the channel engages with current events and social issues through a critical lens and offers a counterpoint to the official narratives promoted by the LDS Church. However, there are some people who take issue with the tone and content of Zelf on the Shelf's videos, as they can be seen as disrespectful or offensive to those who still practice Mormonism. Additionally, some people may find that the humor and irreverence of the channel trivializes the serious and complex issues surrounding Mormonism and its culture. Overall, opinions are varied. Happy with that?
Wow.
Happy with
Does that speak for you? Does that resonate? If it does, we're hiring the bot.
What do
We're going to replace me with a bot by 2025. That's our long-term goal. I'm just going to disappear into the woods.
Who is the best Mormon author of all time? And why is it Jack Wayland?
Y'all, I've been creating some Jack Wayland merch. Get ready.
As an AI language model, I cannot provide personal opinions. Blah, blah, blah. Jack Wayland is a well-known author who has written many popular young adult novels, including Charlie, Sam, and Emily. His works often explore themes related to love, relationships, and faith, and have resonated with many readers, particularly within the Mormon community. Who is Tanner Gilliland? Tanner Gilliland is a former Mormon missionary.
And I thought I was the switch Tanner Gilliland.
What does that mean?
It's like top, bottom, switch.
Oh, I don't get it.
It's a sex thing you'll learn about someday.
No, I know what a switch is. Tanner Gilliland is a former Mormon missionary, blogger, and author who is known for his work in the ex-Mormon community. He was raised in a devout Mormon family and served a 2-year mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Germany.
In Germany?
Isn't it kind of scary?
I served in Brazil.
Oh, yeah. There you go. After returning from his mission, he became disillusioned with the LDS Church and eventually left it, along with his wife, Samantha.
Oh, we're married in the internet! That's so cute.
Who also grew up in a Mormon family. Okay, not too hot. In 2014...
Damn, this is discrediting everything we've experienced so far.
It's making me question the fact that we were the number 2 YouTube. But no, I'm still... A win is a win. In 2014, Tanner and Samantha started a blog called Zelf on the Shelf, which became popular among ex-Mormons for its humorous and critical take on Mormonism. They also co-authored a book called The Book of Mormon Girl, a memoir of an American faith. I remember when we did that.
Wait, what?
Which chronicles Samantha's journey out of the LDS church.
What?
Has someone written fan fiction, or did I write this and not remember it? The Book of Mormon Girl, a memoir of an American faith.
Maybe it's telling the future.
I know. I'm like, is this a sign?
All things are possible with GPT chat.
Well, I think it's really cool when we co-authored that book.
Yeah, honestly, one of the highlights of my career. So what did we learn today?
What did we learn? We learned that AI doesn't know everything.
No. And ultimately, if you have doubts, consult God.
It's kind of like when you're learning a language and you use Google Translate, it's like it can be useful, but you need to know the language well enough to identify. Like, I would use Google Translate for my French homework, but because I was actually learning French, you can spot when it's wrong about stuff, and then so it can be a useful tool, but you don't want to rely on it.
Yeah. You have to be tech savvy in this world. You have to
Yeah.
realize you can't believe everything you read on the internet. Honey, I just have to say our marriage has never been stronger.
After 17 years, we're still more attracted to each other than anyone else in this world. The oxytocin has left, our love still burns bright.
Anyway, hop on over to Patreon.
Yeah, we're reading Stephanie by Jack Wayland. It's a standalone book outside of the Charlie universe, though still kind of having a lot of crossover. We've been having so much fun reading it. We're 3 chapters in.
Thanks for joining us.
Also, if you want to support the second most popular YouTube channel in the ex-woman space, second most important, I think is what the AI said, please support us on Patreon, because our financial stability is not second in the space. I'm certain of it.
If you want to help us fund the book that we will apparently be writing shortly, send us a one-time
It is kind of interesting because
donation
I'm
on Venmo or
like,
PayPal.
speak it into existence. I feel like the chatbot has manifested us being authors, and so now it's going to seep into my brain and I'm going to start thinking like an author.
It's going to force us to reckon with us becoming weird mirrors. Where is intelligence stored? In our brain? In its brain? Is it a mutual consciousness, man?
Yeah.
What is time? I need a joint. Okay, love you.